Okay, so next up, uh, Hamza Riaz or Reyes. I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize. So, you're a 3D artist, Pakistan, nice. And so it looks like you're actually, I would say, you're hitting on all of your points now, where you're able to model, you're able to texture, and build a scene. Right? We'll go to this one. So this one's 2 years old. Um, you're using Maya, Substance Painter. You're posting in Unity. This one's Substance Painter. I was trying to get a feeling for this, all of your work. So Maya, Substance Painter, Toolbag. So you're baking in Toolbag most likely, and if not, you're at least rendering in Toolbag. Photoshop, 3ds Max, and that was a year ago. So it looks like you switched from Maya to Max. This is actually I like portfolios like this because um, I wouldn't say it's because there's so many things to fix. There's so many things that you can improve on to become better quickly, right? So this one's 2 years old, so I'll only highlight a few things, um, just to keep it so we can keep moving through the portfolio. And this one might actually be quite a short review, but I just want to highlight some of the biggest things that you could do to improve your work. Let me just look through these just a little bit more. That is a close up for sure. Um, hmm. I love this, the storytelling on the surfaces. Oh no, the head in the back. Okay, so we didn't look at this one, dude. This is okay. This was 2 months ago as well. There is definitely some level up going on here. This is Toolbag again, 3ds Max, Painter, Photoshop, as a cool way to do a diorama as well. Okay, so let's start from here. So of course, this one is probably the weakest one, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it is 2 years old now. When you look at your most recent work, there's a clear difference in that work. Some of the stuff that I would have highlighted here, like the logic of surfaces, how they meet, like how the wall meets the floor, where there could be like an edge here or something to help bridge the gap, so it's not just a plane meeting another plane. Um, and then material definition and separating out elements, like this table looks really kind of grungy and crusty in the way that the normal map is kind of, the surface just looks really beat up, right? Uh, and then the papers also look pretty evenly beat up. There's a close up here where the cup has very few edges or loops to them, so it becomes quite low poly. And I think if you're doing a camera angle that's going to be this close, just double it up or increase the amount just enough to not be able to see the edges, or be able to count the edges. So we got here. Yeah, it's just, I think a lot of your stuff from the older work is very odd in the way that the materials are reading. There's also, I think, I see fingerprints of very large scale on this chair, but I could be really wrong. I feel like I'm seeing fingerprints in there. But with this specific image or this specific scene, there's understanding what the material is and what its roughness is like, and like not relying on the noise of a normal to depict the surface, right? You would have like a detail normal, but it's not going to be noisy so much as it is a normal to help describe the surface of the material you're working on. And then the last thing I'd mention with this scene is the floor, where you have these like splotches, is tiling in the ground, right? Like on the ground material. So you end up seeing it everywhere. Whereas that type of splotchiness is a great opportunity to be able to place as like a decal, to just kind of break up the surface, or use strategically to show like a leaking can or something like that. Um, with the knife, the knife feels like how would I describe this? That the way the blood is on the blade itself feels very old, but it's still really bright as if fresh, if that makes sense. So I think either removing the brightness of it and maybe tainting it a little bit more, because it looks like it should be more dry with the way that it's been scratched up. Man, this is pretty cool though. This feels like you would pop this out. Those lens flares are through the roof as well. Maybe tone them down just a little bit, but I think it's working for the asset. Um, the thumbnail for this looks really good. This one as well is like understanding and simulating cloth to kind of do this draped effect is really important. Because without that, it tends to feel more like a miniature, like a really small scale asset. And then understanding how you dirty it, like why is there dark patterns and then light patterns at the same time? Those are the types of things to look out for. This is, what is this in tool bag? I'm trying to think if there's other stuff that I would point out to. I mean, when you have cardboard boxes like this, it's a great opportunity to be able to use tape. So that way you've got a tape that's a different type of roughness than the cardboard. That'll give it a little bit more dimension. And then things like the barrel here and understanding how it's put together and where it's dirty and where it's not, and knowing what this material is, because this actually doesn't come off as metal. It looks like you've set it to metalness or metallic or gloss if it's in tool bag, but you haven't. The albedo for it is too dark. For all metals, they're usually quite bright. Thanks, Dirk. Um, but yeah, it's the logic of like how the materials are aged, and then also how you're creating these surfaces. I feel like I'm seeing that fingerprint again. If you're using a really large fingerprint, be careful with that. I think that's what I'm seeing, but I could be crazy. I could be very crazy. This robot I actually like quite a bit, just because there's a lot of complexity in like how the surfaces are wearing, and having the writing and details on there is also cool for storytelling. It is a bit rigid in its shape and design, but I mean, it almost looks intentional. One thing I would watch out for is like when you see the bolts here, like if I just do a print screen here, and you see the distance here, like this distance, and you can see it's thinner there, but then like wider there. Having those consistent and positioned in a way where it makes sense for how the plating is like being bolted on is really important. And I'm pretty sure it's because these were stamped on, right? So it's getting that clean stamp on effect to really push those the logic behind that. And then when you have like the splotchy rust effect, it's usually better to try and get that rust to happen in areas where you would expect it to. Uh, but again, it's not too, you haven't gone too crazy, so it looks like it might be all right. This edge here, where it meets the two materials, I would look out for. It shows a very simple design, whereas just adding a seam here and maybe like an area where it's like it switches from metal to a rubber is more than enough detail to try and break up or make logical sense out of how the pieces fit together. Yeah, man, I love his eyes, and the fact that his eyebrows are just kind of floating there. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I think I would make the health, like the medic label on the back, larger. But yeah. But your most recent scene, this is 2 months ago. This one is quite solid, and I feel like it's just missing that layer of ambient occlusion to really kind of get the under areas to be darker and the areas in the back to just kind of recede back in space. Like if I copy this and we bring this into our photoshops, our photopoo, I can just grab this area here, and let's just, I think what I'll do is I'll just push the value down overall, and then I'll pull some of the saturation out. Yeah. And then I'll make a mask, invert it, and then we'll just grab areas where we want to paint the mask back. Yeah. Because like already, like you see how much depth and dimension you get when you start playing with it like this. There's so much to be had from that. There's like so much value you get from it. And it's the same, I mean, I can't just do that, can I? That's cool. It's fine. But yeah, you can see already it does wonders and helps like add that depth that you're missing. And it'll happen everywhere. It'll be behind here. Wonder if I can wonder how easy that actually will be. Yo, thanks for the follow. No, it's not gonna do much here. Not with the way I've controlled it. But yeah, I think you get the idea. Very crazy goat. Yo, what's up, man? But yeah, this scene is really cool. It's a great way of doing the diorama. There's a lot of elements in here. I would not be scared of making this more round in order to get the look. It kind of feels like it's a little squished for a basketball. And then any opportunities to push a different material type, or like getting some details in the crevices, just to separate out some of these elements. That does so much, right? You can see, and that's just a slight discoloration or value shifting. But yeah, and then we're not safe for work. When you have these types of posters and stuff, I wouldn't hesitate to crease or bend or curl the corners of a poster and add some tape lines. A painted wall can change the mood. Definitely. Yeah. If you painted one wall a different color, depending on like, because I haven't looked at Life is Strange close enough to really see the style and the look of everything. So maybe all the walls do need to be like this as well. But you can see there's a frame around this window here. Or if I can just make it more of an off-white, you can see how much more that pops out, right? And kind of gives an extra dimension of detail. This color here is different from this, which is different from the wall, because not everything is going to match up. And I think it's really nice adding these types of details in the upper area here, and like these kind of splotchier ones. They're a little harder to explain, but it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. But I don't think let me see here. I think other than that, it's really just kind of, this is your strongest piece. I would remove this one, and I would continue to expand on this level of quality and go further and continue to remove like these two as you add scenes. Maybe you don't need to remove now, right? But as you keep going, just kind of keep pulling back on those details. And yeah, this is should not be discounted though. Like the quality leap, like this one was a year ago and this one was 2 months ago. There's a jump in your detailed the details you're pushing now. Don't forget that. It's very easy to be overly critical of yourself constantly and never feel like you're progressing. And I see some progression here for sure. A big amount of progression. So nice job. All right, cool. We will let's get on to the some of those Discord critiques, huh? Thank you. Is it Reyes? Thanks, man.